can't find something on the loan with silence, you're not paying attention. Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Please rise and join me for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, agenda adoption.
Mr. Mayor, we would like to add a TDA report by the downtown director. Maybe make that 14A after minimum housing.
What did you call it?
TDA
Okay.
report from the executive director. We added one item earlier, and that's the House Bill 765.
Yeah. And we added from the work session approval of the Crown Cemetery Commission rules and regulations, and that comes under consent agenda. Item K is in kilo.
Right.
Council, any other additions, deletions, or corrections?
No, I'm good.
Chair will entertain a motion to adopt. All in favor, aye? Opposed, likewise, motion carries. Consent agenda, additions, deletions, clarifications.
Make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion, all in favor, aye? Accept the consent agenda. Item 6. Jim, tropical storm, building damage, restorations, etc.
Yeah, it's been, just Brad and I and Tim have been working on getting Harmon Field restored, and it's been frustrating, it's been slow. We did get our first check since the last meeting on May 1st, with $188,000.
188 and change.
It did include the reimbursement of all the overtime that all the departments had, so we adjusted the budgets accordingly for that. FEMA says they're gonna start approving the process to get the money to us sooner. That's the good news. The struggle for the town is, in order to get reimbursed from FEMA, you've got to complete the work, and they want copies of the canceled check. And at that point, it gets processed. It goes through several hoops. I have been in contact with the state treasurer's office, and they sent out a memo a while back. If you're interested in applying, get it submitted by such and such date. We met that deadline and submitted it. And I've been on the phone today, and I got kind of bizarre news. They said the good news is the town of Tryon qualifies for a loan up to $1.4 million. That's the good news. The bad news is they've gone through and taken all the requests they've got from Western North Carolina, and they allocated based on the $98 million the state legislature gave them for the program. And so the town, every town gets 11.72% times that big number. So 11.72 times 1.4 million is $164,000. So round one loan, the max we're eligible for is $164,000. And so if we do a project, and I guess I talked to Brad, if we did the Delaware Field, that's 80,000. We did some work in the Expression area, you can get up to 164 pretty quick. So we get that work done, get the canceled check and submit to FEMA, we'll be paying off this loan probably in 30 to 90 days anyway. So I asked the state this morning, can I use that as a revolving loan, pay it off and get another one? So they had a big meeting in the state treasurer's office, and they called me back at 4 o'clock today that it's just a one-shot loan. So, then I talked about round two is gonna be different. Only the people that apply So a lot of people are frustrated, a lot of towns. So there may be a larger loan amount available in round two, and I've gotta let them know by June third, I think it is. So the recommendation I have before you tonight is to, one, authorize the town manager to execute round one loan document contingent upon the town attorney approval, not to exceed $164,000. And the second one, authorize the town manager to execute round two loan documents contingent upon town manager attorney approval. I didn't get the loan documents sent to me today they were trying to get them to us. So, but I don't wanna lose time, because time we meet June 17th, we'll miss the eligibility for both rounds. But the frustrating thing to the Harmon Field Board and the town staff is, if you've spent all the money with your fund balance and fixed everything, you can turn it in for reimbursement, but it just handcuffs the town until we get the money back. So that's the frustration we've had. We're gonna try to get many things turned in quick, get reimbursed, and so the cash flow comes back really to the town. How quickly can we get some things done, get reimbursed, and go out and fix some more items? We are waiting for what they call, I guess, Brad, is it relocation money, or?
Correct, it's an alternative project.
Alternative plan, in other words, we cannot replace the boardwalk. So that's $162,000 cash we're gonna get from FEMA. We can't replace the screen, we can replace the screen in porch, we gotta move it elsewhere. The cabin, I should have some numbers by the end of the week. We, as I mentioned to you before, the cabin appraisal was $260,000. If it costs more than $130,000 to repair it, we've gotta tear it down. And we should have those numbers by the end of the week. We had to get contractors to review all the plans and specs that architect John Walters put together. But what's frustrating is contractors, I mean, they hate to put estimates together when they can't make it to work. It's strictly numbers to support your plan. So, definitely frustration. We wanna get the park turned around. I did go to the county commissioner meeting yesterday. The Harmon Field Board budget, which is related to the Harmon Field, we received anywhere between $45,000 and $75,000 each year in rental income from the cabin, screen porch, picnic shelters, and the concession stand. Those are all zero for next year. So the county commissioners, rather than raising taxes 1 cent, decided to make a appropriation to Harmon Field of $45,000. They approved it yesterday when we made the presentation to them. They're very supportive of Harmon Field, they know the frustration. One of the things that Brad and I are gonna be doing with our master plan consultant, Mark Byington, we're gonna be looking at relocating several of the facilities away from the river, including the playground. And so the goal is, if we had another Helene happen, if we had the playground located closer to the street, it'd be open today. The playground's been closed since September 26th. And so the dog park's open, pickleball tennis is open, the basketball court's open, that type of stuff. But that's our goal, is to work on that, but this cash flow setback was very disappointing, because I thought we could get, I think a lot of towns heard the bad news today, that, you get a fraction of what you really need.
I have a question. We transferred $300,000 from fund balance
It's
to
already
work
been
on
spent.
this. Okay, and if FEMA doesn't pay us back, I assume that was part of what was invested in municipal trust. So not only are we not getting our payments back, we aren't getting the interest that we should be drawing on that money that they haven't given us a check to reimburse us for yet.
Well, I think we'll get that money, I think, I guess, Tim, our next, coming in is 100,000.
Yeah, we have 2 checks outstanding that were approved. They're just going through the financial process through the state, and it's about $100,000 coming. So it should be here within the next 20 business days.
But I've got purchase orders on my desk to sign to move forward on the ball field, question repair, replacing the basketball court. We got the soccer fields just around the corner. We put new sod in, get those all regraded. The whole thing is, how much can we afford to go on our own and wait? I think there's no, I don't see how Chimney Rock, for example, is gonna be able to rebuild under these rules that we gotta go through too. It's just spend, get reimbursed, and spend again, so it's gonna take a while to go. But, the goal is to get the playground relocated, get the screened-in porch built. And so, once we get the numbers from, the cabin, we're gonna take that money, together with the boardwalk money, and use it for playground, screened-in porch, and, other amenities we can get, stretch as many as we can. The only question I don't know, Tim, is that relocation money advanced to the town? Or do we have to spend it before we get it? I don't know the answer to that. Do you know, Brad?
I think.
Like the boardwalk money, $162,000, is that cash that's just gonna write to us?
I don't know. I don't know if it's the same as what we've been going through, the same process or not. I really don't know.
So, if we have to go through the reimbursement process, it's gonna slow that down too. So that's kind of the update on that, but I guess I just need your authority, if you're okay with me, to, move forward on the first loan, and that second loan, get paperwork turned in. The top guy actually called me back from the state treasurer's office, because he knew I was concerned. He said, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised on round two, because a lot of towns are walking away, and they might leave more money on the table, so we might get a larger loan, whatever they have failed to give. Because you have to turn your paperwork in if you're interested, so if you don't turn it in by June 3rd, they'll know who really wants to apply. But they had 58 cities and counties said they don't want to participate in the program at all. They learned how it's gonna work, and they just did, so they walked. But I think $164,000 is better than nothing, but it's gonna be a very short-term loan, because I think we'll be able to pay it off very quick.
Okay, do a resolution to that effect?
So I just need a motion to pass items 1 and 2, that when the loan docs come in, that they'll go to the town attorney for review. It's a 5-year loan with no interest.
Chair will entertain a motion. Motion, all in favor, aye? Opposed, likewise, motion carries.
And then we have, Mr. Mayor, we have a special presentation that the fire department would like to do at this point.
Can we move this back, if you don't mind, so we're honoring 2 individuals, that they are in process, they were getting off from work, and this is their busy time, is that all right?
That's fine.
That's okay with council, please do.
Let's move this to another time.
Okay.
Okay? Item 7?
Item 7, the side arm mower. A couple of years ago, we got approval during the budget process to replace the side arm mower. The problem we had the supply problem, we couldn't get it, and we attempted to fix the existing one. They bought it when I was here the first time, back in 2004. So, the item before you now is to purchase a new side arm mower. Then also, secondly, is to apply for an installment loan, get approval from the local government commission to finance for 10 years, and the source of the loan payment would be the PAL bill fund, since this is the street equipment. And so, I'm working with the LGC on the loan approval. As you know, anything over $50,000 requires LGC approval for us, since we're on unit assistance, letter, on the finance audit thing. So, any questions about?
Chair will entertain a motion. The resolution to purchase contract for the side arm mower.
Make the motion.
All in favor, aye? Opposed, likewise, motion carries.
And this mower comes with a tractor, right?
Yeah.
Jim, what is the cost?
Tires and everything.
Tires and everything, all right.
Jim, what is the cost of the loan?
It's $168,000. That's why I think financing over 10 years, we've been very fortunate to get we go out competitive because number of banks. Home Trust has been winning everyone pretty much since I've been here. They want to pretty much be competitive. So, but I think that's more prudent, especially with the cash flow demand on the FEMA projects. We need to keep our cash as much as possible.
What rating are we paying?
We got 4.25 on the last one we went out with. Then the fire truck, was 4.99, I think, for a 15-year loan.
Yeah, 4.9.
4.9.
Okay. Item 8, budget amendment.
This is the fifth budget amendment for fiscal year FY '25. The first area, general fund. For some reason, all the insurance that came in got posted to the administration budget. And so Emily has gone through and did a complete review of next year's premium. And we redid a complete new worksheet, make sure it's allocated to the proper department. So in the meantime, just get posted to admin. The PAL bill fund is to purchase the sidearm mower, to bring loan proceeds in and purchase equipment. The fire department has $82,000 increase, additional funds for repairs and maintenance, tax collection fees, due subscriptions and salaries. And then the water and sewer fund, the water distribution, sewer collection, sewer plant have all had expenditures above budget. And we'd like to get this budget amendment approved, and hopefully be the last budget amendment for the calendar year. But do you have any questions about the budget amendment?
Council, questions? Not, Chair, will entertain a motion to accept.
Make motion.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Amendments approved. Item 9. Firearms, safety.
Okay, this is the one, as I mentioned to you, back in September of '23, we got money for Hidden Hill and Oak Street and Mark and Grady correctly. But our House member Jake Johnson was working with Saluda, Columbus, and Tryon to get money to prepay the interconnect water loan, which got destroyed on that road collapse over in Howard Gap. And so they got approval in September '23, but then the state Department of Resources wanted to restructure the wording. So went back to the state legislature, so we finally got the green light, and the money came in, and they basically sent money to the 3 towns. And then they turned around and Saluda and Columbus have now paid their share. So we went and paid off the interconnect loan. But also
We
too,
skipped.
what's that?
We skipped.
Yeah.
We should be item 9, which is T.
We're supposed to be item 9.
Oh, what, I.
And you skipped to 11.
Which, you want to do 11, I'm almost finished.
Yes, let's finish 11.
Well, anyway, so, the excess money, which is the $603,000, we can retire the water plant debt. So my recommendation is to take next year's payment for the water plant, which is, $202,699. Then take the excess amount, which is $400,000, to pay down the principal even further. And I hope they accept this. It's going for the water plant retirement. But we have so many needs at the water plant and the sewer plant, especially, that if we can free up $200,000 toward projects, I think that'll be very helpful, especially working with the Public Works Committee, I think, getting that done. So we'd like to present that to the state, because when they called me up, they said, Jim, what do you plan on doing with the excess money? And I said, well, I'd like to use it for a sewer plant. Well, we prefer you retire your other debt you've got. And I said, do I get a choice? And they go, no. So, but the whole thing, the state revolving loan program, is what that means. As every town and county pays back any loans, they're able to reloan that money out to others. So this $673,000 will go for the water plant loan, and after next year, the loan balance will be $783,000 remaining to go. And roughly, you pay about $200,000 a year, so in 4 more years, we'll be debt-free in the sewer side and water side.
We need a resolution to that effect, or just information?
This is basically the recommendation to pay off. So if I need a motion to approve it.
I make a motion to approve.
Question? All in favor, aye? Those likewise, motion carries. Item 11, done, thank you.
Now we got, I see, I went out, jumped
Let me
over
go
the.
back and talk to item 9. Hey, that man's got the gun, let him talk.
That's what this is about. We currently have 5 vanilla M1 12-gauge shotguns that was purchased in the early 1990s, which is 30 years old. And we, I believe, was purchased around 2020 when I first came here. They had purchased 5 G-Force shotguns, which you can purchase for $140. Should I say you get what you pay for? This front sights is already fall off one of them. They jam about every 3rd or 4th round when qualifying with them. I don't feel that they're reliable for officers to carry. And what I wanted to do is, Butler's has offered to purchase the Benellis for $500 each, and the G-Forces for $100 each. And that will give us the funds to purchase 6 Remington 870s for 6 Mossbergs, which we have 6 officers who work on patrol, and that will give each officer a shotgun issue for their BP. Problem is we got 5 and 5, so that's what it makes.
Question?
So, sorry, I do have a couple.
If I understood it, we have like 10 shotguns.
Yep.
Part of them don't work right, the other part of them are probably dated. We can take that amount of money and pretty much buy what we need, so every man will have you say a Remington, which one?
870 or
Remington
Mossberg 500.
870. Yes, these are good shotguns.
And the problem with Remington 870s though, they are on back order because they are such good shotguns.
Well, at least they'll fly when they get here and they won't misfire every 3rd. So in essence, it'll be almost 0, if not 0 out of pocket. It'll just be sell the things, get the money, buy the ones so everybody has the same.
And how often do your policemen fire these weapons?
Once a year.
Once a year
At qualification.
at qualification, and typically not in the line of duty per se.
If we're lucky.
If you're, right, and where are the guns stored when they don't go home with the officers, do
They will be stored in the back of the patrol car, secured.
Okay. And that's,
Each
Because right now, they're stored in a storage room that's locked up, that if you go to a call, they're not gonna be like that. Where you might need.
and who is Butler's?
That's a gun store in Bar City. And the problem with just selling to any gun store is 2 of the Benellis have 14-inch barrels, which you have to have a special license. The firearms dealer has to have a special license to purchase a firearms with a barrel less than 18 inches.
And how did they approach us? Did we approach them?
We reached out to multiple different locations around,
Okay,
and they were one of the ones that seemed to have the best deal and offer.
okay, so it was basically competitive, it wasn't just calling up somebody. Hey.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
Other questions?
And the total amount that they're gonna buy them for would be about $3,000. If we buy the Remington 870s, which Butler's has said that that's what they would sell for, would be $469 a piece, which would total $2,814.
So we're selling to Butlers and then buying from Butlers.
If they can get it. They said that the 870s are on back order. that's the reason I threw the Mossberg 500 in on the purchase, is because if we can't get the 870s, maybe look at the Mossbergs.
Satisfied?
Yeah,
As much as you can do?
as much as I will be.
Okay. Chair will entertain a motion to authorize. All those in favor, aye? Aye. All opposed, likewise. Motion carries. Thank you, Chief. Thank you. Item 10.
Waiting on them to show up.
Item 10 is at the sewer plant. I don't know if you're aware of it, but the sewer plant was built in 1969. It was actually built before the National Clean Water Act was passed back in 1972. So the town of Tryon citizens paid for the rainy sewer plant with grant funding, and it works fine. It's aging though. There's a lot of old equipment, and we had an injury a couple years ago out there at the bar screen. We subsequently added additional safety things. OSHA came out and inspected it and approved it, but the equipment is very, very old. And OSHA had contacted Diener, hoping to get us some funding for it, but that hasn't come through yet. So in a way, it's a long lead time to replace this equipment. So we'd like to get permission to order the equipment. It won't commence for several months, but we want to at least get the project ordered and install it. And the cost of the purchase is actually going to be budgeted in next year's budget recommendations. This is strictly to let you know we'd like to place the order now and get the process moving.
Approximate cost?
$96,000 for the part, plus the installation cost is additional.
Okay.
And what are these screens do again, Jim?
Like a
Filter?
It goes just like a conveyor belt,
It picks up solids.
whatever, and they have, they have a dumpster there that gets hauled off type thing, so, but it's an important process, and, it just, the equipment is 1969 version, and we had to have things fabricated. It just reached the point that if it breaks down, we just,
Are we still using our truck to spread, or is it things being hauled elsewhere now?
our trucks are doing it, yeah. We're still doing it. On that, the brush is a different story. This is the bar stream for the sewer plant itself.
A quick story, I met a lady the other day in another town that had hired someone to haul there and turned over in their front yard and spilled 5,000 gallons, and they forgot to call OSHA. So, they're about this deep in it, or more. So, yeah, we need to take care of that and fix it.
And the other things we want to improve over the years too, and we're gonna start, the public works committee now being established, taking each plant and going in detail what's needed, so the public works committee can review it, make recommendations on seeking grant and loan applications and so forth. We've been held back because the state has been giving us low marks on our applications, because they want the water and sewer mapping projects complete. And it should be completed within 30 days now. And I am submitting some projects to our state senators. I was in contact with them last week. So our engineers are working on the preliminary engineering reports to back up our cost request. But he did say that it may not be as aggressive as last 2 years ago. But he said, turn your projects in, we'll see what we can do to help us.
Okay, you need authorization to order this.
Yeah.
Do you want to give us a top number just in case the price changes?
No, because it's next year's budget anyway.
Okay.
It's just placing the order.
Chair will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Any questions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those likewise, motion carries. Item 12, Tim, town budget.
And 11's already done. Well, third budget, I guess, we're presenting to the town, is in North Carolina, the manager is required to make a budget presentation on or before June first of each year. And so usually at the monthly May meeting, the manager makes a presentation, and then we set our work session, the first one will be May 30th at 9 AM at the Depot Community Room. And so you'll take the budget book you get tonight, thoroughly go through it, and the way I set up the budget format is I have all the department heads and the division supervisors sitting around a conference table with the council. This allows you to ask any financial questions, any questions of street department, sanitation department, and get a better understanding of how we do things and how we can do things better. But in the meantime, I just wanted to go through, I have made one significant change, in the budget. I'm recommending that we establish the 11th fund for the cemetery. You might say, why do that? It's currently been budgeted with parks and cemetery. And the problem is, if you get a donation to the cemetery, it's a department within general fund. So it automatically goes in general fund balance and gets sort of lost in the scheme of things. If you have a separate fund, and you have a large donation or they come in under budget, that money will stay in the cemetery fund. So I recommend that we make a transfer of about $15,000 to the cemetery fund. And then, for example, recently we had a couple sales for people taking ashes up here. That money is going to go, currently goes in the general fund and doesn't stay in the cemetery fund at all. This will fix that problem.
Well, let me throw something here, Jim. In the last, I bought a bunch of plots over there for a reasonable price, and I've been selling them, so there can only be ashes. And when I sell them, I keep half the money and give half of it to the town to put in the cemetery committee funds. And then a few months ago, someone said, we need a little something here. So I wrote a donation check for $1,000 and went looking for it, and I couldn't find it.
It
I
goes
did
in
not
the general
make me a
fund.
happy camper, so these two people got together and fixed it, so thank y'all for that. At least I know where my money went. Where I
Well, the whole thing
wrote
is
the
to go by memory or research, and then make a budget amendment to appropriate that money from the general fund back in for the purpose of cemetery. Here, if we got a donation for $10,000 for the cemetery, it's gonna stay in that fund. And I noticed they wanna do a major repair to the block wall, and I thought we could do that after July 1st as one of the projects out of the cemetery fund. But as far as, the town, Tryon has really been blessed with a lot of employees that have been here a long time, several years of experience. The pay plan for this town was outdated, and I updated it in fiscal year 24, the first year I got here. I'm recommending a cost of living adjustment of 2.5% be included in this year's budget for the employees. I talked to Mark Pittman at the county, they're doing also 2.5%. In addition, the town, when I was here the first time, we set up a 2% match for 401k plan. It's been that way ever since, for 20 years now. I recommend that we increase that to 2.5%. And also too, when I came back, we used to have a safety program. The manager subsequent to me deleted that program completely. And I restored that when I came here back in February 23. We have ongoing safety classes for all the employees now. That's ongoing. One thing too, equipment replacement is really important in the town. As I shared with the town board the last couple of years, the town's gone for several years without replacing equipment. Many of the trucks were purchased when I was here the first time. We did purchase 2 used dump trucks this past year. But I think it's gonna be hard to buy all new to get caught up. But having good equipment for the employees actually helps morale. You have to work with old equipment. And the frustration thing to, even our employees that pay the bills, we spend a lot of money to stop forward on major maintenance. And as we get the fleet replaced and so forth, that number should come down. pleased to report that we continue to make great strides in our facilities we do own. And I have a great deal of appreciation for the Parks Committee and the Public Works Department. I've never seen an actual committee, Parks Committee, where their committee members actually physically go to the parks and do donated labor month after month after month. And this really shows, and, they spend a lot of time at Bonnet Creek, Greenway, Woodland Park, and so forth. Harmon Field, as you know, I mentioned earlier, is rebuilding from devastation from Hurricane Helene. It's been moving slow, and as we talked earlier about the cash flow. Now, as far as new improvements go, in the downtown area, I have included money in the budget for public restrooms. We hope to have some recommendations coming to the council next month on some locations to build the public restrooms. We also have ordered, and the lights in front of Stock Storage should be going shortly. The steps at the clock tower are being replaced now. If you drove by, you've probably seen the guys working. The backlit deck was completed recently in the corner of backlit on Depot Streets. The parking study, which the Tourism Board and the TDA both requested, is forthcoming, I guess, in June, Tim, next month.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Moving to water and sewer, many of the town's water and sewer lines are old, as you know. The sewer plant was constructed in 1969. The town has received 100% grant funding for Braywick Sewer. We got 2.6 million in grant and 600,000 in 0.14% interest rate. That project is finished. The first loan payment starts July 1st next year. I was hoping they'd wait for another year, but they want their money back. But it's gonna be like $30,000 a year for 20 years. Past year we got money, for Hidden Hill, Oak Street, and Grady Markham. Those projects have been let out to the contractor and we're starting shortly. We have designed Jerry Road Sewer Project. It's had a number of SSOs. That's one of the projects I'll be submitting next week to our State Senator Tim Moffitt. Again, Jake Johnson was instrumental in getting that money to pay off that interconnect loan. Then we did get 100% grant funding for the asset inventory and mapping for water and sewer. That project is nearing completion to be done within 30 days. We're still waiting for a decision on the Lake Lanier grant. There's been a temporary hold in Washington on all grants, but we did receive communication from South Carolina, who's administering the grant program, that we submitted our grant application. No errors, they're happy with it. We also, too, in South Carolina, they did something unique. They hired an engineer to evaluate all the dams in South Carolina, so they know which dams need the money. We're ranked up near the top. And so I'm gonna be asking Tim Moffitt to come up with a local share, because it's a 75-25 ratio, for that difference. Overall, the budget totals $6.3 million. General fund's $2.3 million, and the water and sewer fund's $2.1 million, and the fire department $1 million are the large ones. Again, I'm recommending the cemetery fund be established for the first time. I'm recommending a 2.5% tax rate. I did list all the tax rates, but I got this assessed valuation from the county yesterday afternoon. When you do a revaluation, you're required to do what they call a revenue neutral calculation. And so the assessed valuation in the town limits went up 48.7%. So if we kept the tax rate the same, we'd have every taxpayer in town after us, because it'd be a huge tax bill. So we'll have to lower the taxes down, but in this I'm recommending a 2.5% tax increase to cover the obligation for the retiree medical, which is like $32,500, plus to cover cost of living raises for the employees. But for every penny of a tax rate, it raises $20,000. And we're in a small town like Tryon. You don't have a lot of growth like Hendersonville's got, a lot of growth, where they get income from raising taxes, but they also get income from growth. We don't get very much at all from growth. Like I said earlier, we're gonna go through each of the budgets in detail with you at the workshop.
What time is that workshop on the 30th?
I recommend 9 AM, will that work for you guys? Now, last couple of years, we pretty much have gone through it in 3.5 to 4 hours. But I think the key thing is, and I encourage the, commissioners that if you have any questions, don't understand why we do things, you're gonna be able to sit across the table from the street supervisor, the ORC for the water plant, the sewer plant, sanitation department supervisor. You'll have Tim there and Emily and myself and Andrew McAllister, who oversees the water and sewer department. And one thing that we'd like to talk to the council about is 20 years ago, we established an on-call of 100 hours a week. And it's still $100 a week. What that means is when an employee's on call for that week, they get off work at 4 p.m. It means they're on call all from 4 p.m. to the next day. For the 5 days, Monday through Friday, and they're on call 24 hours on Saturday and Sunday. I'm recommending that we consider raising that to 160 a week, because these employees are out on holidays, cold weather, extreme cold weather when water lines seem to break, sewer lines break. But, it's a thankless job, but a lot of times too, as our citizens they see sanitation department picking up the trash, they see our police officers and firemen. But water and sewer is kind of like, you don't really see them all the time, unless you have a major break or something like that. But we like to have, our supervisors in that department talk to you about on-call, how it works and so forth. We're fortunate enough to have about 7 employees that are on call and take turns doing that. But, and also too, I like to, thank Tim Daniels and Emily who helped me on the budget along with Meg Rogers. And I wanna thank the town board throughout the year on ideas that you have. And I'm anxious to work with the Public Works Committee and the Finance HR Committee on recommendations, how we can, make great strides in infrastructure improvements. But my job is to present the budget to you. You can throw rocks at us and make sure you. But basically, in summary, I recommend 2.5% tax increase. But it'll be from the new base, to raise the additional $50,000 that's needed. Also too, on the trash, I'm recommending raising the trash rates $1 a month. And then, the town board got a presentation, I guess, Mayor, before I was here. In March of 2020, went through a capital improvement plan with the Dravenauer engineers. And they recommended raising water and sewer rates 5% each year for 15 years to get ahead of the curve and have money to meet infrastructure demand and allow you to meet new debt that you add on. And of course, the consultant recommended that you'd be paying for it with 100% loans. But out of the gate so far, I think the town's done pretty well. With Braywick Sewer, 2.6 million 100% grant, $600,000 low interest loan. We got the 2.2 million on Braywick, Hidden Hill, Oak Street, and Markham, 100% grant. So the first 6.2 million, 5.6 is grant. So I think we're doing better than what the engineer had shared with the council back in March of 2020.
For edification of the public, I know enough to know you've been around a long time, you know a lot of these people, and I know how good you are with numbers, because I've heard it from the league, and if you give them a number, they know it's real. It's not inflated, it's what it should be. And I think that's one of the reasons your trust and what your knowledge is why we get with this.
Well, one thing I guess, everybody can point out, if a manager like myself changes jobs, and you're still in North Carolina. You know the local government commission. So when I apply for a loan, I already know the staff. You know a lot of the banks, because you did bidding with them. The Institute of Government does a lot of training. And then the, organization that I've been active in is the North Carolina Government Finance Office Association and the State Treasurer's Office on Investments, so. And then I know DOT staff. So that's been kind of one thing where I came here, a new manager looks at learning the organization. I've been fortunate enough, Mayor, that, when I know you from before and Bill Crow from before, and a lot of employees, and then people in town, for some reason I remember their name, I don't know how I do it. But it's been a rewarding experience. So we look forward in sharing the budget and where we're headed for the next 12 months.
Thank you. Item 13, board appointments, who do we have for Parks Committee? And my better question is, how many openings do we have and how many applicants?
Only have one, and we have one. So it's, Dick Perlmutter, for the Parks Committee. I think Woodis used double in some, but that's the only application I've got for the Parks Committee at this time.
Okay, who was it? I didn't hear the name.
Dick Perlmutter? Yeah.
Perlmutter.
Yes.
Okay. I thought that's what you said. Okay, the planning commission,
And then planning is
we
going.
only have one and one.
One for that one. It's Julia Williams.
Okay.
And then.
The tourism board, is it one and one?
One in one, Val, the seat for tourism, it will not be open until July 1, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So, but since we have the other board appointments, we went ahead and included it on this month's agenda.
Okay. Any discussion, council? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to appoint all three of these people to their respective committees.
I'll make the motion.
Okay. All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, likewise, motion carries. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, and then I think we are ready for the special.
We're gonna go ahead and do it, we've got folks.
Okay.
So what we put together, Lourdes and Brad helped as well, is just to show our appreciation for some of the businesses in town that helped us go through Hurricane Helene and the 3910 fire on 176. And these three businesses came in for us in a hard time, and we've been working 12 or 24 hours straight. Caffeine and food is about the best thing in the world.
And they didn't ask for anything in addition, they just were gracious enough just to step up. We feel this is a proper way to honor them if they'll out. Jessica, would you please come up? She texted me, she said she apologized ahead of time for being sweaty. We're like, you're gonna be the most comfortable person there. Jessica's with All Good Things Bakery. I guess the owner really is what would be better described.
Into the light. What? Into the light.
Step into the light.
Okay, so this says to All Good Things Bakery, in recognition of your invaluable support for our community's first responders, we extend our heartfelt gratitude. We thank you so much. The other two businesses, one of them unfortunately is literally running deliveries as we speak. That's Buck's Pizza, as you can imagine. They're very busy overnight like tonight, and no one else is open. And then we have the Triumph Coffee House as well. Caffeine, as Chief said, is really requirement for us to function. So if you see these businesses, please comment and thank them for the service they have given to us, which we consider this to be a service that we desperately need. So thank you, and Commissioner, thank you.
Okay. Item 14 and 14A, I'll call both at the same time.
Alright, planning board, or planning update, minimum housing. Okay, just a minor thing, I am talking to AV, audiovisual equipment vendors, to try to do something about, recording these meetings and miking you guys up so we can hear and watch things online. So I'll keep you updated on that, getting some quotes. The historic preservation designation procedure, will be postponed until next month or the vote on it, due to lack of quorum from the planning board last month, but now we have an extra member, and I did talk to the existing ones, and everybody is on board for the next meeting to make their recommendation to you guys for that procedure. So we'll get to that next month. The Foothills Regional Commission will be at Fourth Friday this weekend, or this end of the week. I finished the parking study drone work with them today. So the report will be ready for next month, as Jim mentioned. But they will be at Fourth Friday if you wanna pop in and chat with them about it. I think they are taking some public input there if you have any comments. But they will give a formal presentation at the next meeting. And we have retained, as far as minimum housing, we have retained a property inspector to assist with minimum housing. That person is Steven Seiler, so I will hand over, and he's been going out in the field helping me out with the minimum housing stuff. So, I will pass it over to him.
So, the second owner, if you allow me to segue from the last presentation, we'd like to give a presentation to BOC Pizza on behalf of the fire department. Thank you for the support you gave us during this storm. I know you are very busy running the business tonight.
We appreciate you guys, everyone. We love our town. Thank you.
Here's a little stop to hang that up for.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you guys.
In terms of, minimum housing, we have just 4 properties that we discussed. We have 800 East Howard. We'll be going out tomorrow to do a quick perimeter survey to determine the livability of it. If it does not pass our livability minimum housing standards, we will start the process, sending a letter to the owner and start that for condemnation. The second property that was brought into question was 375 Jackson Street. That is actually outside the town limits of Tryon. As such, our ordinance does not preclude us putting our minimum housing standards in our ETJ, the extraterrestrial jurisdiction. So this now falls to the Polk County under their purview. Because of that, Polk County does not have a minimum housing standard. So this is kind of dead on arrival, and it's out of our hands either way. The third one is the 112 Jackson Street extension. It's an abandoned house. We did a full perimeter search on that. It's found several deficiencies. They have been noted in a report. A letter has been produced and is being forwarded to the property owner for condemnation. The last one is the 160 Cleveland Street abandoned house. The owner has been notified of the condemnation proceedings that was covered in a planning board meeting dated April 10th. The owner is free to amend that over the next 90 days. However, in 90 days, he has to have it done and a certificate of occupancy from the Polk County Planning Board. So those are the properties we currently have under our view right now. Any questions?
Just sort of procedural, how do properties get on that list?
Typically, there's a report that is filed with the planning board. With Tim, we'd receive a report. Based on that, an investigation or an inspection would be done. A lot of times the owner is not present. We cannot make entry into a building that would be against the law. I'm sure this can testify to. We will do a perimeter search. If we can see obvious deficiencies that would violate minimum housing, things like structural, if the walls are collapsing, if it's visible mold, if there's no electricity there, if someone's living there illegally, these all have to be in place for the minimum housing ordinance to be met. Once that's done, then it's a process that there has to be a hearing board brought in front of the planning commission. Planning commission is a quasi-judicial board that does have certain legal ramifications that they can also pass as well. Once that's started, you have letters that are sent forth that are notarized to the last known owner. No response, then we can proceed forward with other, everything is so tightly controlled, and I think the attorney of the town can speak better to that it is a very lengthy process to make sure every T is crossed and every I is dotted. Not to keep using that, saying, but nothing is done haphazardly without full disclosure to everybody who might have a vested interest in this property.
Is it just for the structure, or is it also for, like, if there's an overgrown yard?
Two separate items within the same ordinance. Typically, what you're referring to is what would be what we call noxious, if there's a noxious weed problem.
It's a nuisance.
A nuisance weed. That the owner would be notified that, it would be up to the owner at that point to remediate it and submit a plan for that remediation back to the town.
All right, the TDA update. Fourth Friday this week is Community Helpers. It's Historic Preservation Month this month, so TDA, Historic Preservation Commission, Cousin Warriors, Lanier Library, Tryon Arts and Crafts, and Tryon Fine Arts will be joining the Foothills Regional Commission on the Plaza. Next, fourth Friday in June is our Global Food Fest, which was a huge hit last year, so we're hoping to sort of get the same traction on that. So if anyone's interested in coming out that day to sample some good food. We had a big month for ribbon cuttings and grand openings. We welcomed Monica Stevenson Photography, Missy & Co., Fortunate Finds, and the Livery Poorhouse to downtown Tryon. On June 6th, we will host a business networking morning mingle at 9 a.m. at Fortunate Finds, if any of you would like to come. And let me backtrack to the ribbon cuttings. I appreciate all of the council showing up to the ribbon cuttings. I've said it before and I'll say it again, I think it's important when council members show up to these things to just welcome new businesses into town. And then the uplighting project, I know we talked about this before, half of it's done, the other half, we're just waiting for good weather to finish that along Trade Street. And then the town update, I think it came up at the last council meeting about the Rogers Park bathroom sign. It's been updated. We've installed a new sign here on Howard and Trade that points to Rogers Park public restrooms so that people know they can access those public restrooms. And then the original sign that was there, we moved it down just to near the post that's by the park.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Sorry. We are working, so TDDA is going to be working with the tourism to roll out a campaign, a 25 for 2025, and Tracy from the tourism board is coming to talk about that with you guys.
I'm just gonna make this really quick because I know you have a lot going on, but I wanted to give everyone an update because we still need to put everybody in TDDA as far as the board in the loop and also tourism in the loop, but we want to kick this off in June. So that's why I'm here, so you're the first to kind of know what we're going to be working on. So basically what happened is I attended 2 tourism conferences in, I guess it was March and April, representing the town of Tryon. And one of the conferences, which was the Visit NC, which is the whole state's tourism conference, they're predicting, the national experts are predicting that there's going to be lower tourism this summer and possible lower spending due to various economic factors. We will not get into all of that, but we really need to kind of get ahead of this and support our businesses that are downtown. So we came up with an idea, $25 or 25 and 2025 summer challenge. And so basically what we're going to be doing is encouraging residents and tourists to come in and spend $25 in June, July, and August each month. I'm looking at a lot of you, and I see you walk downtown all the time. I spend $25 at lunch almost every day. But we're encouraging people that maybe come down and then go to Hendersonville or go to Spartanburg to actually come in, walk downtown, and spend $25 once a month. It's a low number because obviously economic factors, but we're just trying to encourage people to support and love where you live and Tryon first. So I'm going to be working with Lourdes really closely. She's going to be reaching out to the businesses, asking them to take pictures of an example of what you can get for $25, whether that's like a greeting card and a little gift for your mom, or whether it's 3 glasses of wine and a charcuterie at the mayor ball. So they'll be sending those photos to me. I'm going to be putting them into like a branded looking pretty visual, and then we'll be posting it on social media via Lourdes's TDDA, and then Explore Tryon Tourism, and then we're going to be encouraging purchasers to take pictures and kind of have more fun with it. So I just want to give everybody a little bit of heads up on that, and basically, we're just trying to, if you're already supporting downtown, go maybe try something different at somewhere you haven't gone yet. And we're also working on a pour tour for all the restaurants, a non-alcoholic pour tour, and a pour tour, and maybe even a cinnamon run. I was talking to Jessica about that. But we're gonna be working on all kinds of different things that'll go on the website, but this needs to get launched first. So if anybody has questions, you can email me. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 15, needing a closure of Depot Street from 29 June 2025. Purpose? I suspected, but I
Yes, so I go before you to ask for request for the closure of Depot Street. I'm the owner of Mirabelle Gallery, and between Packlet and Depot, we're hosting a pride event and fundraiser and pop-up market and festival. Same footprint as we had for Bear Fest or Greasy Pimp Fest. Simply to close the street for safety and security of the space. There will be between 150 and 200-ish people there that evening. It will be from 11 at noon in a strike around 7 p.m. So simply for security and safety, we asked to close the street. It will be two different organizations will be part of this fundraiser and event, as well as probably, as we are looking now, Gabby is working with me on from Infest on securing different vendors. We're currently looking at about 15 local businesses that are going to be targets of this event. So to stimulate the economy, piggyback on what Tracy has said, we're really trying to create reasons to come to town and try on, spend money, get familiar with the city. I'm asking for your allowance to have that street closure.
One question, you got people coming in and setting up?
Yes.
Okay, we need to close 10, 9?
What time is it gonna start?
People need to have it closed so they can come in and set up.
Yeah.
Right, I would say 11 a.m.
Okay.
10 a.m., 11 a.m.
And it's a Sunday.
It's a Sunday.
Yeah, it's a Sunday, so it's relatively
I
quiet.
want to make sure you have enough time.
Perfect.
Okay, any questions? Chair will entertain a nomination.
I'll make a motion.
All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, likewise, motion carries.
We'll see you there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Town manager report.
Mayor, you know that I came in here in January of '23, come for a couple of weeks, serve as your interim manager, and I made a comment to you when you were doing interviews for manager that you don't have a good candidate. I don't want you to hire the best or the worst, so I suggested I stay longer. And you called me up that evening on March 1st of 2023, I think it was. You want to stay for 2.5 years. And for the 2.5 years comes up August 31st of 2025. And you said, Jim, I need your help on 2 things. I need your help on 3 audits. June 30th, 22, June 30th, 23, June 30th, 24, those have been completed. I need you for 3 budgets, FY24, FY25, and FY26, which are completed as well. So my contract calls for me to give 30 days notice. I know you don't meet in July, so I'll let you know my intentions at your next meeting in June, if I will continue further, or leave August 31st as we agreed to.
Well, I think I can speak for everyone here. Nobody wants to see you go.
Mm-hmm.
Chief, can we kidnap you? Is that legal?
The whole thing that's been, a lot of things have happened in the last week or so. Our brother John, who flew out from Flagstaff, Arizona to help me with Linda's celebration life, he spent a week with me and he helped me get through planning of that event. And he came close contact with my 3 children and so forth. He's in the hospital now. So I may have to fly back to Flagstaff this weekend.
Well,
So
having been where you've been, take the time when you need it. We we've got someone that you've got trained that can fill in the end. Whatever you need, I think I can speak, that we're with you, this town's with you. And there's no way that we can repay what you've done for this town. Absolutely no way.
That's very important.
Okay. Council Mayor tonight, Julie Bill, Tracy, Skip, and Allen.
I don't know how many people know, but the General Assembly has, a couple bills out there. House Bill 765 and Senate Bill 688. And it's gonna give developers a lot more leeway than the town people, citizens would have in making decisions for like the development of the community and the character of the community. And so I had asked Jim to have our attorney look into the bill and give his opinion on it. And I'm requesting that we do a resolution opposing the bill. Just to make a statement. Columbus has done it, there's been other counties that have done it. And I think it's very important that we let them know that we don't want developers being able to come in here and make whatever decisions they want without the council and planning boards to be able to speak for the residents.
And almost every town in this state of any size, because to add some to it if I may. This is your idea. We have ETJ, there's a group of people that like to take that away, which means we can step outside our city limits, they can do what they want to. We have some people that like to be able to come in our town and say, you can't stop this in the town. I found that out when we had something show up in my town I didn't like. I went to planning and zoning and said, I'd like to have a guidance where we could set this up and keep those people from coming in here. He said, legislature's taking care of that, you can. The people in my legislature don't work for the people in my town, apparently. Because they want to tell us who we can build, where we can build, how we can build inside and outside. And the original idea was to do a proclamation. The proclamation requires my signature. I want 5 signatures on there. And I've talked to dozens of mayors and people who elect everywhere else, and we're basically up in arms. If we didn't have ETJ, you could walk out on 176 and find the right place, take a few acres of land, and put about as many condos and apartments as you wanted to there. You already see what's happening in the land and what's happening in Columbus. So, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take it.
Oh, that's okay. So I just want to put it to a vote.
And I'm glad you brought this up because I've been thinking about it all, I think it first came to my knowledge about a week and a half ago. And I think, I'm not opposed to managed growth, but this would be mismanaged growth. It just in terms of, from what I understand, that it basically overrides any decision that the planning board makes. And again, the planning board is for the people of Tryon, not for the big builders. So I strongly agree with this measure, and I think we should definitely.
You would have to allow 4 units per acre in every zoning district. It's shocking, some of this stuff. You could be personally sued easily if this passes, or just regular land use decisions. But
And correct me if I'm wrong, if you own a house with a little bit of land, you can now go build a mother-in-law apartment wherever you want to, without asking anybody, no matter what it makes your town look like.
I'm not quite sure about that.
I know that was proposed, I don't know if it passed or not, I know that was proposed.
It is, but I didn't know, you probably still have to get some sort of rubber stamp from City Office about all it would be. It would be, no street design standards, they're gone under this. No parking requirements, you're out of the parking pit, they can have little or none, or as much as they want. No setbacks. I mean, it destroys local authority over land use and zoning decisions, and it's ironic that this is being proposed right after a really good bill, which created 160D, been needed for a long time, and now they're just like putting it in front of the fires. So it's bad. I really encourage you, all the towns that I represent has either already or will be adopting a similar resolution.
And I think one of the things that I've heard, that they're doing this under the guise of affordable housing.
Yes, right.
But affordable housing, in the term affordable housing, it has specific definitions, and it's gotta meet specific criteria. But a lot of these builders will use that, oh, it'll be affordable, not under the definition, the true definition of affordable housing, which is generally some percentage of median or whatever.
3 of the 4 primary sponsors are contractors, builders, developers.
Yeah. Realtors.
Well,
So,
let me add something to that, what you're saying. I don't remember how many years ago it was, you may have been here at the time. I don't remember if it were Durham or Winston-Salem. There was somebody a couple of 3 miles outside the city limits that wanted water and sewer, and they were gonna build a place for about 400 houses. The people went out and studied and said, no, we can never break even. That builder sued that city, and almost every town in this state signed on and paid them the money to get a class action suit against them. I'm wondering if that's what we're gonna have to do here. It's ridiculous. So I think that I can get a motion that we will do a resolution.
I'll make the motion.
Yeah. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, likewise. Good. Just a good strong resolution with some teeth in it. Anything else?
I just wanna thank the staff. They're always working so hard, seeing the public works going around our neighborhood, cleaning the streets and filling in potholes, and just the effort everybody makes. Emily, always doing things at the last minute. And the citizens for showing up tonight.
Bill?
Yeah, we need, after, I was talking to Mark with, the stonemasons up on the steps. He has no idea what we put on those steps this year to absolutely dissolve the concrete. It probably, it wasn't salt, it was, I don't know what they used, but he said.
Probably or something.
Huh?
I think it probably smelled on it.
Yeah, it was a form of that, but whatever it did, it completely dissolved the concrete under the stones. So in the future, when we have ice, close the steps, don't salt them.
I agree.
And, there are other areas, but, and we were gonna do a survey of the property that Alan got donated to Woodland Park. Has that been done? Does anybody know anything about?
So I met with Mayor Peoples, we went over it, and I spoke with Jim and the Parks Committee this past Tuesday, let them know what was going on. And then I met Mark Byington out there last Thursday, I believe, I think it was. Me and Tim met Mark Byington and showed him the plans of what we wanted, what the mayor wanted, and then go from there. The only thing we need to do is get a surveyor. So I'm still waiting on that. I'll be very honest with you, I've kind of fallen a little behind.
Yeah. The couple, that have bought the, what do they call it, the old.
Spanish Court?
The old inn, huh? No, it's on Carolina Drive, not Carolina, on, across from the Fine Arts Center, down a block and a half. They're willing to let a pathway go to the sewer line back there. Spanish Court. We're gonna flag it hopefully this weekend where they would like to see the footpath go. And at that point, the surveyor can shoot it, and then, we can actually have a physical description of what they're, gonna allow us to use. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It'll come from Woodland Park up the sewer line trail, and then up there at Spanish Court, cut through and on their back property. So it's pretty nice of them to do that, and it really puts a nice loop into that trail. That's it. Oh, and thanks to staff and Lourdes for everything she's been doing, and Tim, appreciate it, really did, and the citizens who turned out tonight. All four of them.
And I'll just echo that, thanks, nothing else.
Get to the staff, I mean, we've got a tremendous town staff, and then being a rookie commissioner, I had been traveling with some of you guys, spent a lot of time with Jim and Lourdes and Tim, so, thank you.
And finally, ladies and gentlemen, some of you have heard this 1,000 times. Best place to live, we're in it. If you don't leave, go somewhere else and see what happens. This is the best. You got a ward here and there, but Lord, the rest of the place is good for the wards. Staff, thank you. Citizen comments, please, if you wish to speak, raise your hand, get recognized, state your name for the record. Hearing none. At this point, we will ask you to leave, go into closed session to discuss confident acquisition and potential litigation. Thank you for coming.